I did a story just over a week ago, I think it was, about how Trump's greatest hope at winning this election is honestly relating to the border. It's nasty, the things he says, his crazy fear mongering, confusing with the Hannibal Lecter stuff. But polling has revealed this. The way he's running his campaign shows this. He believes fear mongering about the border while actively obstructing solutions on it through Congress by encouraging Republicans to do so will be his winning ticket in November. And so what have I been saying? And we covered this again already some, but I have new information on it. If Democrats, and now if the Harris campaign, could go on the offense on this subject, it could be a game changer. And I don't know where all of this was. I sent a video of one of Harris's just stunning, on fire moments during a speech to some people and said, where has she been? This is just incredible. And it's a similar feeling about how this campaign's being conducted. Where has this campaign been? Part of it, I guess, is the messenger. And one of the things they're doing is going on the offense on the border, which could absolutely annihilate, which is what we're seeing here, Trump's chances at victory by taking away from him the one issue that he is able to win people over on, which that should be taken away from him given the facts of the situation. Here's the latest ad from the Harris campaign going on offense finally on the border.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So this is her newest one. And as a part of this conversation, because I know some of you will point this out, of course, we have to make sure we discuss the broader look at what we need to do in investing more properly in these different areas relating to our immigration system. A part of that is border security, and we need to prioritize humane border policies while facilitating that secure border. And there's all these parts of the conversation we've had before, we'll continue to have, and it's more of a broad discussion than just what Republicans are willing to engage on. But I do think very narrowly talking about that as she did, more border agents, fighting against fentanyl getting into the country, fighting against human trafficking, right? Just talking about those very real concerns without getting into a whole immigration reform discussion. For this moment and this message, I think that's it. And here's another ad that we already looked at.
On the border, the choice is simple. Kamala Harris supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Donald Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents. Kamala Harris supports investing in new technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Donald Trump blocked funding for technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Kamala Harris supports spending more money to stop human traffickers. Donald Trump blocked money to stop human traffickers. Kamala Harris prosecuted transnational gang members and got them sentenced to prison. Trump is trying to avoid being sentenced to prison. Ooh. There's two choices in this election: the one who will fix our broken immigration system, and the one who's trying to stop her.
Yeah, I mean, it's just impossible. And you've heard me say it so many times if you're a regular viewer. It's impossible for Republicans to have any legs to stand on. I just remembered a scene from a show. Hi, yes, Chair Factory. My friend Ted here needs a leg to stand on, or something like that. That's what Republicans need, because they don't have one, okay? Because they fought against, and Trump is to blame for. He said, blame me for killing that once in a generation. border security bill. Why? For political reasons, so that Biden couldn't get a win. And if Republicans, from the second Biden came into office, up until that once-in-a-generation bill, are on the record obstructing solutions, not engaging in discussions about congressional action that could be taken on this with Biden's support, then I don't really want to hear it from y'all. You know, you're not a good faith actor. You're not coming to the table. And in my conversation about this with longtime Republican but anti-Trump Republican, during the segment I talked about where we went over the first ad, Tim Miller said this.
I love that contrast so much. And, you know, the other thing is just this obvious point about how Trump killed the border bill. And I've been saying for months that I think that there are two areas. She hasn't done the second part yet, but I think there are two areas where the Democrats can go on offense here in a big way. One is this: they wanted to do border security. They brought in James Lankford, one of the most conservative Republicans in the Senate, to do the bill. They signed up for everything James Lankford wanted. They didn't water it down with progressive stuff. Some progressives were unhappy about that. They were willing to do it. They were going to pass that bill and sign it into law, and Trump killed it. So it's like, we wanted to do this. We care about border security. We care about policy. Trump only cares about himself. Such a good message. And
yeah, it's such a good message and accurate, which is such an important part of this as well. And then in terms of just finishing our discussion of recent Harris ads, I will play this one that's also a recent ad. They're creating a lot of ads.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about who you fight for, and she's fighting for people like you.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Yeah, and interestingly, I saw some reporter say Harris campaign introducing a new biographical detail that Harris has not talked or written about, to my knowledge, working at a McDonald's. So sort of questioning, why is she only breaking this up now? That's just inaccurate from that reporter. I don't know why people are struggling so much with covering this campaign correctly. 63% of our watch time in the last 28 days has come from people who aren't subscribed. If all of you who aren't yet subscribed can click that subscribe button, it would make all the difference. I appreciate it. Back to the video. But here was her in 2019 saying this.
I worked at McDonald's. I was a student when I was working at McDonald's. There was not a family relying on me to pay the rent, put food on the table, and keep the bills paid by the end of the month. But the reality of McDonald's is that a majority of the folks who are working there today are relying on that income to sustain a household and a family.
Right. So inaccurate to say she's only now introducing that, but I think it's an interesting part of her story. So finally, we're seeing a Democratic campaign go on the offense. And if you're someone who doesn't like that message, I just encourage you to consider what I said previously. Americans are, whether you think it's unfair or not, or too Republican framed or not, Americans are concerned about what is categorized as border security, the border security part of the broader immigration conversation. So we have to introduce into that discussion a humane tone and humane policies, and we have to reject the disgusting rhetoric we hear from Trump about immigration, while also making clear to Americans that we support secure border policies, because a lot of Americans are misled on that. And then an interesting other ad there at the end as well. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. If you want to get extra content daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below. And if you want to contribute to the Harris campaign, you can do that by clicking the link in the description of this video.